All right, let's get right into it. Today we're basically going to deconstruct the DNA of a great story, and we're going to use the original playbook to do it, Aristotle's Poetics.
I want you to think about that for a second. You know, the last movie that just completely floored you, or a TV show you couldn't stop binging. What is it? What's that secret sauce that makes it stick in your head? It's the question every storyteller has been chasing for centuries.
And it turns out, the first person to really sit down and try to figure it all out, to truly systematize it, was the ancient Greek philosopher Aristotle. Way back around 335 BCE, he wrote the Poetics, which is, for all intents and purposes, the world's first instruction manual for how to tell a powerful story.
So, what's actually in this ancient guide? Let's take a look under the hood.
This is the oldest piece of dramatic theory we've ever found. It's incredible. And while Aristotle mentions other types of writing, the part that survived through the ages and the part he really zooms in on is his deep, deep dive into tragedy.
And this is where it gets really cool. Aristotle doesn't just, describe what a tragedy is. No, he dissects it. He breaks it down into its fundamental parts, like a master watchmaker taking apart a complex machine.
This is his big definition right here. For Aristotle, a tragedy isn't just some sad story. It's a structured imitation of an action that matters. It has a beginning, a middle, and an end. And its whole purpose, its entire goal, is to stir up two specific emotions in the audience, pity and fear. And then, and this is the crucial part, it's meant to bring about a catharsis, a kind of purging or release of those very emotions.
So how do you do that? Well, according to Aristotle, every single tragedy is built from these 6 ingredients. They're the essential building blocks, but he was super clear that one of them is way, way more important than all the others. And that's number 1, the plot.
For Aristotle, plot, or mythos, was everything. It's not just the stuff that happens, it's the structure of how it happens. It's the cause and effect chain that pulls you through the narrative. He literally called it the soul of the story. Without a solid plot, the whole thing just falls apart.
The other 5 parts are all there to serve the plot. You've got character, which is about who the people in the story are, morally. Thought is their reasoning, what they actually argue for. Diction is just the words they use. Melody was the job of the chorus in Greek plays, the musical element. And then, last and, well, least for Aristotle, is spectacle. We're talking sets, costumes, special effects. It's pretty funny, actually. He called spectacle the least artistic part. He believed the real power came from the story itself, not from all the flash and bang. Okay, so if plot is king, what makes a plot perfect in his eyes? Well, for Aristotle, it all comes down to creating the right kind of hero and then sending them on a very specific and very painful journey. This chart just lays out his logic perfectly. If you have a flawless hero who suffers, it just feels shocking and kind of random. We can't relate. If a total villain gets what's coming to them, sure, that's satisfying, but it doesn't make us feel pity or fear. The sweet spot, the bullseye, is a good person, someone like us who experiences a downfall. Their fate is tragic because we see a bit of ourselves in them.
So what causes this downfall? It's not because they're secretly evil. It's because of this concept called Hamartia. Now, this gets translated a lot as tragic flaw, but a much better way to think about it is a tragic error, a miscalculation. The hero makes one huge, pivotal mistake, and from that single mistake, the entire tragedy blossoms.
And that mistake leads right to the peripeteia, the reversal. This is that gut punch moment in the story. It's the pivot point where the hero's life was going one way, and then suddenly, bam, it completely flips and starts heading straight for disaster. It is the absolute point of no return.
And all of this, the relatable hero, their terrible mistake, that horrifying reversal, it's all meticulously designed to lead the audience to one place, catharsis. By watching it all unfold, we feel pity for the hero, and we feel fear that something like that could happen to us. The end of the story then purges those emotions, and we're left with a feeling of clarity, maybe even relief. For Aristotle, that feeling, that was the whole point.
Now, as powerful as these ideas are, the story of the physical book itself is, believe it or not, just as dramatic.
So get this, the version of the Poetics we have today is only half the story. The original work had a whole second book, a book 2, that was all about the art of comedy. And somewhere over the last 2,000 years, it just vanished. It's completely lost to history.
And it wasn't just the book on comedy that almost disappeared. The part on tragedy we have today nearly didn't make it either. For hundreds of years, during the Middle Ages, the Poetics was basically lost to Western Europe. But it was kept alive in the Middle East, where it was translated into Syriac and then into Arabic.
It was through these Arabic versions that the text finally made its way back to Europe, eventually getting translated into Latin and published in 1498. What a journey.
And this right here, this is an actual manuscript of one of those Arabic translations. It's just an incredible piece of history. Without the scholars in the Islamic world who so carefully preserved and studied this text, one of the cornerstones of all of Western literature could have just been gone forever.
And here's a fun little pop culture connection for you. That lost second book on comedy, it became a huge plot device in Umberto Eco's massive best-selling novel The Name of the Rose, where people are murdered to keep its supposedly dangerous, laughter-inducing secrets hidden away.
So, after this incredible trip through history, why does a 2,300-year-old book on Greek plays still matter so much? Well, because its ideas are absolutely 100% everywhere you look.
Seriously, think about it. The good person who makes a terrible mistake, the shocking reversal of fortune that changes everything, the slow build of tension that leads to a massive emotional climax. This isn't just ancient history. It is the fundamental blueprint for modern screenwriting. I mean, look at Walter White in Breaking Bad, a good man whose tragic miscalculations cause a complete reversal of his entire life. That is pure Aristotle right there in your TV screen.
Which leaves us with this one last thing to chew on. Aristotle wasn't trying to write a strict formula. He was trying to describe the deep patterns that make stories connect with us as human beings. So the question is every great story we love just a new spin on a blueprint that was laid out more than 2,000 years ago? It's definitely something to think about the next time you're sitting in a movie theater.